And that's the cool thing about going and getting to play cowboy or day work here and there. I've always been the one that I wanted to know what's over that next hill. If I can raise a horse that I know anybody can get along with him, I'm hoping that every now and then I get a rock star and puts us on the map. If I had any advice, I would say work for as many different people and places as you can while you're young to see how all the different ways of getting something done is out there.
Welcome back to the Wealthy Cowboy Show. Today I got one of my buddies on, Tyler Schaffner. We're going to talk a little bit about the cattle business, the ranching business, the horse business. He's done a little bit of everything. So how's it going, Tyler?
It's going. How's it going over there for you?
Good. Yeah, so it's cool to sit down. I know you're a Texas transplant, so but never heard your full background. I know what you've done in the past few years and recently, but tell us a little bit about how you grew up, where you grew up, all that stuff, how you got to Texas.
I grew up in a little town in north central South Dakota called Harriet in the sale barn. Dad run it for quite a while, and his relatives were owners of it, so we were been in there since we were, I was 8 when we moved there, but he was already working there before then, so pretty much until I moved to Texas, I was there.
Yeah.
And I moved down here in 2009, so grew up there, sale barn.
The sale barns up there are different.
It is big compared to these.
I mean, just everything. I guess up there you just don't have the little small-time hobby guys.
Yeah, you got more load lots and numbers and groups, everything goes through, but like just the holding capacity, I think, on feed and waters, like 9,000 head or close to it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's run a little different. So, but
are the sales up there? Are they still weekly, or is it kind of seasonal?
They still have it every Friday, and I know when we go home, I think I go visit it every time we go back. It's changed owners and stuff, so it's fun to go visit with him and see how everything's going, and it's rocking and rolling. It's good. It's a good spot. So that, and they had a little feed yard down there, so we got to play in the feed lot, and all winter was nice and cold. And summer months, spring, fall, whatever, we got sent, me and Dad and maybe a couple other guys to help everybody gather their calves, brand their calves, kind of used us as labor to go help them just to get the calves to come to the sale barn. It worked good. Met a lot of cool people, a lot of good people. And after that, I think that's all I ever wanted to do. So here I am, still trying it.
Were you when you're up there? Did you get into roping and all that up there?
Yeah, a little bit. I didn't really get crazy into it until I met my wife. Like we roped and all that, but I didn't have big plans to go rodeo. Nothing. Like, still really don't want to go rodeo, just jackpots mainly. But
yeah,
young horses have always been my thing. I've always 2s and 3-year-olds.
And were y'all? Well, I mean, we'll get into all of that, but like, were y'all raising horses up there or riding a lot of colts?
We had a bunch. We would buy a lot of colts. We didn't really raise any. Every now and then we'd have something, but Dad would buy a lot of colts from the ranchers up there, and then they'd send calves, and we'd ride them, trade them off, sell them. But I've been a 30 to 60 day colt guy my entire life. Like if I had one that was 3 or 4 years old, I felt like he was old. I mean, that's just all I ever rode until now. But yeah, my uncle I grew up with my uncle. He raised a bunch. He traded a lot of horses, so he had brood mares, still does. And he's 80-some years old. And I got one of his brothers, this is my mom's side. They raise a bunch of horses and some registered Angus cows and bulls and all that good stuff. So grew up in it that way.
And like, did you, when did you move down here? Did you go to college or did you?
I tried college for one semester in Mitchell, South Dakota, and I went to be an electrician, and the final straw was my instructor looked at me and said, I think you need to maybe look into something different because this maybe ain't for you. I'm like, I'll figure it out. And he goes, you're going to kill yourself. I'm like, okay. So I just got up and left. And he goes, well, where are you going? I'm like, well, I'm not going to sit here and pay you to kill myself. So I left. And no more college wasn't for me. And moved down here in 2009 in August. And I went to work for Frank Zermino, riding colts for him.
Did you already have a connection or something lined up?
Yeah, because my dad moved down I graduated in 2004. I think Dad moved down here in 2003. So I came down, visited him. Pretty sure that's when it was. And met Frank. First time I got down here, I drove down here all night. Got here after midnight, and he said, well, just come over here to this place where they're going to have a horse sale. And so I went over there, and the next morning they were having a horse sale and a ranch horse competition. And that's how I met Frank. He just moved to Goldthwaite from Whitesboro, and he was going to show his stud in the ranch horse deal and just asked me if I'd help him turn back for the cow work part. Sure. Then I didn't know a soul there other than Dad and his wife at the time. And so then I stayed down and I worked for Dad while I ended up working. Frank had an indoor arena down there, so we went over there and roped. And then I was working for an electrician also. This was before college.
You're just drawn to electricity.
I was just needing to do something, yeah. And I hate electric fences, go figure. So then Frank sees me in a pair of shorts and a T-shirt working over at his place wiring this barn, and he can't figure. He's like, I know this kid somewhere. And then go over there and rope, and he finally asked me, he's like, where have I seen you? I said, well, I helped you at the deal. He's like, yeah. And then he goes, there's a kid that was here working on our barn for an electrician. And he goes, I swear to God, he looks just like this does me too. So anyhow, I got to know Frank, and then we were back up there, and it was cold one winter. It was real bad. One of the colder ones we've had. And my wife at the time, we weren't married, she goes, if you can find something down south, she said, I'd move and go down south. So
is she from up there?
She's from up north also. She's in the northeast part of South Dakota where it's even colder yet. And so I called my dad's wife. She was working at the feed store at Lampasas. And I said, hey, can you find me anything to do down there? I've had enough of this up here. She said, well, what do you want to do? I said, the only thing I know how to do is ride horses, and that's about it. And wasn't 10 minutes, Frank called, so got me down here. So I give him more credit than probably a lot of people for people that have helped me, because without him, I wouldn't have ever came down, I don't think.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
At least you had connections. That I know, like when Andy was on here, he's like, he knew the one guy, I can't remember his name. Al. He's like, that's all I knew. And he said he had like a wore out pickup and trailer and just came down here.
Yeah, I mean, and that's what I had a guy that I run around with back home quite a bit. He was a lot older than I am, and I looked up to him forever and stayed with him in the spring when we go brand calves, Nub Long. And Nub told me one day, he said, I was talking about coming down here, and he goes, might not be what you want to do for the rest of your life, but it's an opportunity that'll lead to another one. Mm-hmm. And that stuck with me. Now I don't say no to a whole lot of things. I'm like, hey, yeah, let's try it.
Yeah.
You know, and if it works, cool. If it don't, but
I think that's huge. And like anybody young, or if it's entrepreneurship or cowboying or whatever it is, just like, and you really don't know what you want to do either. So a lot of stuff I start and like get into it, and then it leads me a different direction. But I never would have got in this other deal if I didn't start this other thing. Yeah. So like, I tell people that all the time. I'm like, just say yes to everything. And that seems to be like the starting point. And then you kind of figure a little something out, what you're good at, what you want to do. Then to really hone in, you got to start saying no after that. And then you can really build something.
Yeah.
To really build something, you got to say no, but you really can't get to that spot until you say yes to a bunch of stuff.
Yeah. And stick with your gut. I mean, do what you like to do, especially if you love it. keep trying. Don't. There's been lots of times where I'm like, maybe I should have stayed being an electrician and took my chances on zapping myself. But, man, if you put enough time into it and you like it, you can find a way to make it somewhat successful.
Mm-hmm.
And just like the old saying is, if you do what you love, you never work a day in your life.
Yeah.
I still haven't had to work, I don't think. But.
And I think a big thing for me right now is just looking at stuff to go meet people.
Yeah.
Because I think it's all really who yeah, that's going to get you really far. So if it's going somewhere new and I'm like, it's going to be all new guys or whatever on the crew or what, something like that, or be around a new group of people, I'm like, yes, let's go for sure. If it's the old guys and we know what we're going to do and we've been on that place before and stuff, I'm like, I don't know, maybe. I'll check my schedule. But DX Trailer Sales is based out of Lubbock, Texas, and it's definitely not just a trailer dealership. If you are involved in the Western way of life, and if you're listening to this show, you probably are, they have something you need. From trailers for a day working cowboy to a full-time cattle hauler to hay trailers for a farmer or rancher to arena drags, rope and chutes, and feeders for the rodeo cowboy or cowgirl. They also deal in every kind of hay any of your animals could ever need. Literally anything you need for farming, ranching, or rodeoing, they have something for you. And it's gonna be at a super affordable price. Besides all that, everyone you deal with there is super friendly and helpful. We just got new custom flatbeds built for our pickups, and I also got probably the coolest trailer you've ever seen built. And you can stay tuned for a video we're gonna do, and it's gonna show all of that and some more of their products also. So check out DX Trailer Sales on Facebook or dxtrailers.com.
And that's the cool thing about going and getting to play cowboy or day work here and there. I've always been the one that I wanted to know what's over that next hill. Like just something new. Like you said, if you've been there, been with the same guys, which I like working with the same guys that you're used to, it's fun because eventually you weed out the ones that ain't, and it might be me. But you can back up on them, and they got your back, either one. But it is cool going and seeing new country. It's like Gus is saying from Lonesome Dove, ain't nothing better than riding a fine horse through new country.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what keeps us, keeps a lot of us hooked. You're the same way. I mean, there's a lot of guys there's a million things that pay better than that, but there ain't nothing more fun.
Yeah.
And meeting people. Mm-hmm. I'm a people person. I can't, I don't know that I've ever met a stranger.
Yeah.
I can be on an airplane and I got a friend in no time. So,
and speaking on that, so you're down here, you knew just a handful of people, and now, like you said, you've got a huge network down here. So, kind of, how did all that evolve? Like, what were you're working for Frank, and then like, how did everything start evolving for you?
Yeah, I was working for Frank, and then he had that place in Burnett that I helped him. Or I didn't help him, but I helped do some electrical work and went and roped over there. So when I moved down here, he had his place in Goldthwaite. He sold that one, and which now Lance Enderman has been my partner on the rope and cattle and on the horses. He owned it. Well, that's how I got to meet him. They were having roping once a week, and we'd go down there. Frank and I would go to the jackpots, and of course, I didn't know a whole lot of people, few. And he kept telling me, he goes, if Frank ever wants to sell his place here in Goldthwaite, he had a place down the road from it, about another 4 miles that he bought. So he'd stop in all the time. We got to be good friends. And he said, you need to throw my name in the hat and see if he'd sell it, or just trade me back for the one and burn it. And I'm like, yeah, all right. So Frank and his cousin bought Circle T Arena at Hamilton, and he was going to sell his place to somebody. And I told him, I said, well, call Lance. Yeah, I said, he talked about maybe swapping you back for the one and burn it or something. He goes, really? I said, yeah. So it wasn't 10 minutes. He calls me back, done deal, Lance is your new neighbor. I'm like, cool. So I was riding colts. He pulls in the yard that evening and He's looking around and he goes, well, I guess I got some cows and some mares with the place. He said, you want a partner on it? And I said, absolutely not. And he, well, what do you mean? I said, last time I looked, we're pretty good friends. And as far as I know, if you want to lose a friend, partner with them on a horse, and you're talking about 40 of them. Mm-hmm. I'm like, no, I don't want to. And he laughed, and he said, well, I partner a little different than most people. I'm like, okay, let's run it by me. So he did, and it did sound a little better than most partnerships. So we've been partners since. I think that was 2012 maybe, and still get along great, and everything kept moving forward. So yeah, without them two guys, that was one of them opportunity things. I told myself no, and I thought back to it, and I thought, he's a pretty successful guy. You might want to entertain it. So yeah, and it's been good. And heck, him and we get along super good. So I don't even feel like he's a partner. He's still my friend. Yeah, and I mean, we're buddies. And
he seems very knowledgeable. I've been trying to get him on here to share his knowledge, but just being around. Yeah, if you can get around the right people,
I should probably hang out with him a little more. Just some of it rubs off. But, I just told him, I said, if I hang out with you too much, I said, you might get dumber instead of me getting smarter. So we'll just call it good. But yeah, no, he's very sharp, very successful guy. He's helped me out a bunch. Not even so much as a financial thing, just my mental game. I mean, that guy's got more drive than anybody that I've been around. Honestly, I think I'd have quit several times if it wasn't for him. So,
how did y'all? So it sounds like y'all kind of got just what was already there. Was it already the Corini Cows?
Yep, it was already Corini Cows. And right before he bought it, I was partnering on buying a bunch of potentials and some fresh ones just to trade on with John Clifton out of Goldthwaite. John helped me out quite a bit too. And he asked me about it one day. Well, let's try it. So we did it, and Larry, my old neighbor, Alexander, he was the one buying them all for us. And then when Lance got the place, he's like, yeah, well, if you guys want to keep doing that, and he goes, we can keep doing it, or I'll do it, or however. So it just kept rolling.
And on the cows, were y'all raising Corinis? Yeah,
we were raising ropers out of them for the longest time. We tried the beef bull thing on them, and of course our timing was off, and it didn't work like it's working now. So we went back to the Corini bulls, but we traded so many of them off for like the calves, potentials off to roped out heifers to just build the cow numbers, and that we got cow numbers pretty fast in lease country. That is the hardest thing down here to do, is to find lease ground big enough to make it worthwhile going and run around. But that was the thing that worked really good with the Corini Cows. All the stuff that, starting out, you never get the good stuff. You kind of get the rough, and them things you can run on anything as long as you have a fence. Mm-hmm. Otherwise they're a glorified goat. Yeah. But, so yeah, and then now we don't even have hardly any cows. Just still doing the rope and steer thing, and they're almost getting impossible to find on the fresh side of things for potentials or ropers. Everybody's put beef bulls, and the numbers are low everywhere. So
yes, I mean it's always everything is a cycle. I don't know, a lot of people don't realize that, but it's all patterns of the stock market, the real estate market, the cattle, sheep and goat market. All of it's cyclical. You just got to know where you are in the cycle is the thing. But that's always seems to be the deal with the Corini deal, is like beef calves get real high, so everybody goes to beef bulls, and then you got a shortage of ropers, so they get real high, and then everybody switches back, and then just kind of goes up and down. But
and it's harder to even get them out of Mexico right now too. So the demand and team roping keeps growing like crazy with the fraternities. Kids coming up. I mean, there's I don't know how many arenas are in Erath County, but I'd like to know if anybody has that answer. It'd blow your mind, I bet. But you just can't get enough of them. Now if they're going to close the border again with the screwworm thing, it's going to be hard. I don't know what it's going to boil down to, but I do know the roping stock is going to probably not be quite as good at a lot of these bigger events as it has in the past because the numbers are so short. There's going to be a lot of complaining going on. I mean, it is what it is.
And I asked Andy about that one time. I was like, is it worth going back to a Corini bull on those cows? And he's like, really, the deal about putting like a Charolais bull, which I've used, is like they get big so fast. Whereas even if you get the same money for a roper, it took longer to get
year and a half for the same. Like that's what everyone asked me too. Is the same thing as, well, if ropers are bringing $1,600-$1,800, are you going to switch back to a Corini bull? Like, I really don't want to switch back to a cow, period.
Mm-hmm.
But if they're bringing $1,600 or $1,800 as a roper, if we get to that point, which we are, he's a year and a half old. Or you can sell an $1,800 calf out of her in a Charolais bull that's 6 months or 7 months old.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's made it hard for, but team roping is a sport. And if you want to play, it costs them. So,
yeah, and what I wanted to talk about that too, because you've evolved and changed in the cattle business. Like, what have you seen the differences in running a cow and raising a calf, whether it's a roper or a beef calf, and then you've messed with just the straight ropers, and then even some yearlings recently.
Yeah, I don't know if
kind of the ins and outs and like pros and cons of each, I guess.
It was one of them things where it's hard to get out of one or the other because of the connectivity to the ropers, because that's kind of, our horses they're not cutters. They're not reiners. And they're bred to be rope horses pretty much, or just ranch horses. They're versatile. So kind of got to stay in the roping deal, but I've been in the yearling thing the last few years, and it's been good. I like it a lot. I don't know how crazy this is going to get for a little while, but that's the only good thing about the yearlings is if they are high, I don't have to buy them. Where the cow thing is like, should have sold my calves when I was supposed to, because now this thing took a dive. And that can happen. You can get caught with some yearlings doing it, but at least if it's this high, you don't have to go buy them back.
Mm-hmm.
You can do something different. But it is tricky right now because it's all high, and I don't know whether I should go with cows, with Corini bulls or Corini cows, or just stick with the yearlings on it. But it's tough. But we lease a bunch of them. Is my main thing is with the roping steers. So if I can't get them, I don't know what I'm gonna do there. Dang sure don't want to get caught giving $1,800 for some, and this thing falls out, and then there you are. But
can you get? Well, I'm sure you can get like the LRP and the protection on like ropers.
That's a good question. On them, I don't know that you can, since it's a sport. I'd have to ask.
Maybe not as what you would want to get for them, or maybe
right.
A little.
There's got to be something. Like ours are all heifers, so they are. It is a breeding stock, so surely you could LRP them on. If you were to breed them to a beef bull afterwards or something, it'd be about the only way you could do it. But
yeah, I think it's like it seems like most people want to, just get stuck in whatever avenue they're in, and I'm just trying to survive, so I'm like flexible. So the good thing about like you're doing the ropers or the yearlings is it's so flexible because you can be in and out fast. Or if you can do that with cows too, if you're just putting them together and trading them.
Well, and having a set of cows on top of it, well, it's not all that bad. It kind of just depends on how your lease places are. Your place is set up. I don't have a big place, so everything's kind of run around and either lease it or shuffling stuff around. So it's kind of hard for me to have cows. I don't have the big lease places we did. They got sold. So the cow deal kind of out the window for my deal.
You got to look at your different options.
But at least I don't have all my eggs in one basket.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one thing. Maybe growing up in the sale barns kind of helped me with that mentality. seeing the ups and downs of things. I've seen guys that have been very successful with just a cow operation, and guys been very successful with yearlings only, and they'll both tell you, "Oh, it's just, what the heck do you want a cow for when you can make money with a yearling?"
Yeah.
The next guy will be like, "What the hell did you want to mess with them yearlings for?"
It would be probably like I'm been pretty interested lately in following the stock market, especially because it's so volatile with whoever tweets what on what day. But like you'd think to me, it seems like a cow deal would be more like the S&P 500. You're just investing for long-term growth. You don't really care about the ups and downs. Over the long term, it's going to grow. And like a yearling or a roper guy's like in and out, looking for value, trading, and like a day trader in the stock market, looking to make one little move here and there. You can buy something, sell it, and I don't know. It seems to me like nothing's black and white in any part of life. Nothing's black and white. There's a lot of gray area to operate in. You kind of got to look at everything before you jump. That's how I got in the Corini and Longhorn business, because same deal. I had a rough place.
Back in episode 62, we had Tyler Jacobs on the show to share his story and introduce us to Holland Hall, the brokerage he's a part of. Holland Hall operates with a model unlike anything I've personally seen. They're not just focused on farm and ranch land sales, they use a partnership approach that gives you access to a whole team of experienced brokers, not just one. Beyond buying and selling, Holland Hall also offers farm and ranch management, real estate appraisals, mortgage banking, and loan underwriting, and even auction services. If you're looking to buy or sell that special farm or ranch, check out hallhall.com or reach out directly to Tyler Jacobs at tjacobs@hollandhall.com.
You kind of got to play the country you're in, and where you're at, you've got some really good grass, and then you guys got some rough stuff. I mean, like Goldthwaite, starting out of Goldthwaite, it's pretty much rock, brush, and I don't like goats. I'm not a very good goat guy. So, and that's the same thing as like back home where I grew up. It's cow country. I mean, it's yearling country. It's both, but just some deals work better for
and it's
others.
Probably like Angus-based cows up there, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Everybody pretty much the
a lot
same
of sim
around
Angus pretty much anymore. They've outcrossed them. Like the Angus cows up there are huge compared to here, but they got good cattle, man. I mean, it's just the way it is up there. It's what it's for. It's cold. They don't have the heat holding them back and all that good stuff. And the feed's got a little more power to it. Feed's cheaper. So, but you'd be surprised when it's 40 below how much more you eat. I should go back.
I think like the horse deal, I mean, we can talk about that because you've been in horses for a long time. But to me, I don't know the timeline, but when you were saying y'all were riding a bunch of colts and not really raising them, to me, really not that long ago, it was a smarter business decision for a guy to go buy a colt, because you can buy a colt for ready to start for a couple grand maybe.
Yeah, you could buy a broke one for
you could buy a good one for $6,500. Yeah. And it took, and because we've raised a couple, and it's just like you got to go through the whole hassle of getting them bred. Then once they're bred, it's a whole year, and then you go through all this work, and then you're 3 years in really before you get to do anything, and then it may not be that good anyway.
Yeah, it can get a little overwhelming.
And then you could have just bought that finished product for $2,000, Yeah. But now when horses are high, it's like, well, now we got to look at raising them.
Yeah. So me and a friend of mine were talking, this was 2 years ago, and it was coming up. I mean, it's still climbing, and it was on a pretty good increase of the horse prices. And he said, we can finally, for the first time that I know of, can raise one and train it cheaper than you can go buy it. Whereas for the last 50 years, you can go buy a really good one. I mean, why would you want to raise one? You know, like, and when Lance and I started, we bought the mares out of Canada. Well, some come from Frank. We sold some of them off, kept a few, and then bought a bunch of them out of Canada from Dan Pandolfo. And he's been doing it for 30 plus years, 35 years or so before we took his deal over. And a lot of the guys that have been successful in a breeding program have started with something where someone else left off. Because if you think about it, I got to start with where he left off, but I went through and kind of weeded out what I wanted and what I didn't want, just went through them. But if I had to start over with where he stopped, I wouldn't be as far along where I think I am with the horses today. But the cost of it, like you said, breeding them, now that Pocket's done good and we're doing everything AI only, it's a pain in the butt. I still liked what we were doing before, where just turn him out with 20 mares.
Yeah.
Have 2 or 3 different studs if you had that many. But for a while, we had a lot of mares that we weeded through, and we're down to, bred a lot of young mares last year, so we're back up to like 16 to 18 head, something like that. But
did you see in your I guess health, did y'all if you just turned them out and kind of just let them naturally do it, did you see less breed up and some come up crippled and some colts die or anything like that?
Typically, I've had pretty good luck. There's on a yearly deal. I've had 2 years. This year hasn't been just the greatest. The foaling's been good, but last year's full crop I've had a little bad luck with after weaning and everything. But as far as I can think of, maybe 3 colts over the last 12 years that have died by just going out and checking them every couple of days or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know which way is better, to be honest with you, but that way has worked for a long time.
What about it? It seems like
the breed up has been pretty good too.
Yeah.
That way, to answer that question. But
the people that, I think a lot of people, I mean, I don't know, I'm not in the business, but I think a lot of people that have the high dollar studs don't want to turn them out with the risk of getting kicked and crippled.
Yeah, well, and that's where we're at right now. And honestly, I would take that risk with him of getting kicked, because a lot of them mares, they all run together year round, and they're not bad. A young stud's got a better chance of getting hurt than an older one anyways, but it's the breeding to outside mares.
Yeah.
That's where it would be frozen only, where a lot of people want fresh or cooled. So we got to have him on hand. Well, like right now today, he's going to an AQHA show. Well, you can't just go pull him up out of the broodmare pasture and still trying to promote him a little. He's not going to look so good. And he ain't going to have shoes and all that stuff. So he's changed it for us. I mean, every other thing we've had, we've turned out. Which the first 2 years I bred him, I kicked him out.
Yeah.
And then he got good. And then so here we are, collecting him all the
Taking
time.
a little bit better care.
Yeah, it's hard to get
Keep
used
him
to.
shined
It's
up.
not really my style. It's a little different. But and he runs with the geldings and everything at the house. And even during breeding season, he lives with a few of them.
And going back to the start of the horse deal, what did y'all have a vision for that of what was your ideal horse? Who were you raising it for and all that?
So we, which I heel mostly. I like heading, but I've always ended up just being a heeler. Been attracted to more of a calf horse style horse my whole life. I liked roping calves more than I actually did not like team roping whatsoever. And I wasn't even very good at roping calves, so we're not going to go down that road either. But that was the style of horse I've always liked. I thought, well, let's just make it bigger and let's raise head horses for the way the market was going. The cutters ain't getting real big. A lot of guys don't want to run or rope on straight up barrel horses. Some do, but the cross is now that they're doing. It's kind of where it's going. But that was the deal when we started, is let's raise head horses that you can heel on. Not so much a heel horse that you can head on, because, we're in Texas. You can find a heel horse prospect by dialing the wrong phone number. The cutters, the reiners, the cow horse stuff, they're everywhere. It's just the size thing, and I got lucky. Pocket wasn't supposed to be a real big animal, and he's really not huge. He's He is exactly 14, 3 3/4. So I call him 15 hands just to make myself feel better. But he'll weigh.
I think that, I mean,
He's heavy and he throws
that horse
big.
is big enough to do anything. I would go, I've definitely caught bulls and stuff on smaller horses. My little mare that she's like 14, maybe 14.1. And I do remember I caught a bull on her and we were getting drug around. I mean, it may not have been a good decision, but I mean, she was trying she gave it all. I think it's more the horse and then anything. Like I've seen big, foundation bred, big old dumb stout horses not be able to pull the stuff a little horse could. But.
Yeah. Like he weighs 1,380 pounds or 85 pounds, somewhere in there. So, I mean, he's still low enough to the ground. He's got some speed. He can stop. He's got plenty of cow for what we want to do. Probably not enough to make a big time cut. Well, he's too heavy to make a big time cutter in the first place, but that's what we wanted. And I didn't want to go with a great big, tall, huge. So I'm like you. The short, stouter horses I've been able to pull more stuff with. So the only time a guy really needs size in the rope horse thing is on an average, typically someone with a little longer legs than the other person is faster.
Yeah.
That's about really it. Other than that, they can all handle the steer. The steers we rope today weigh 450 pounds in the team roping arena. In the 80s, in the early 90s, they weighed 675. So it's changed. You don't need as big a horse, but I want a horse that you can go, if he's conformationally wise, he can make a calf horse, heel horse, or a head horse, or tripping horse. They don't even want them great big tall things either. So if you can breed for that, surely he's going to be good at one of those events and just find him a home for that spot.
Yeah, find him the spot.
So, but if you breed for just one thing only, you're probably going to have a lot of them not make it.
Yeah.
And I don't know.
I mean, it's just like a little, you get a 14 hand, smaller built cutter horse that doesn't make it in the cutting. You're pretty limited.
Yeah. He better be gentle. I mean,
you got, every little horse that's for sale now, it says breakaway or calf horse prospect. Now they quit putting calf horses much. They just put breakaway.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Our horses, they still got the mares out of the Canadian program. They got a ton of bone, a lot of foot.
And what was Dan doing with them? Was it just like
rope horses? Yeah. He used to show the AQHA thing was pretty big back then. And I didn't realize it when we bought them, but I didn't realize that the horse show deal was as big in Canada as it is until here a few years ago when I started showing. And you talk to some people, they'd ask how they were bred, and their people would be from Canada, and I'd tell them, like, hey, you got to know what they're bred like anyhow. But like, oh, then did you get them from Dan? I'm like, yeah. and it just kept rolling into how it went from. But yeah, he's had a lot of pretty good horses way back in the day, and they're old school, but they were very close up to the horses that did really good. So there's a lot of champions on their papers, but it's so dang long ago already that it's not that it's very far back off their papers. It's on their papers. It's just nobody knows it. Like first time I showed a picture of the papers to Jackie Crawford, and she's like, "You're gonna have to speak English. I don't know any of this." I'm like, "Yeah, I know." So I don't know. A lot of people will look at it going, "Oh, he's an idiot. He's trying to reinvent the wheel," and I might be, but that's what I want. I feel like we've lost a lot of the number one rules. Or the not number one rules, but a lot of the first rules from AQHA to register them as an AQHA breed, they used to have to be deeper in the girth than they were from their belly line to the ground. I know I have a lot of horses that'll fit that bill. I know there's a lot of them that don't. So, but it is hard trying to find a horse that's got some size that can still move like he's little. Mm-hmm. And I just want to try to see if I can do it. But a lot of people have. A lot of them has been successful at it. I got a lot of guys I look up to in the breeding world, and I'll be all over the wall on it because hats off to them. You got Bill Myers. Everyone looks at him as a barrel horse guy. He's not, but he is. I mean, he can do anything with his horses. Craig Haythorne's another one of mine, turned into a really good friend. We've bought some horses off of Craig, built a relationship, and they've got a fantastic ranch horse program. I got more of it added in again with the new one we got coming up, and you can play with some of the cutters, mix it in. I bred some to Bills because I wanted some more of the running blood to go on top of it. So all of this kind of boils down to where I was going with the horse program is if I can raise a horse that I know anybody can get along with him, I'm hoping that every now and then I get a rock star and puts us on the map. Because if I bred for a bunch of rock stars, I'd get a whole lot of stuff that a whole lot of people can ride because we don't ride very far anymore. We don't have the country we used to have, like when I was a kid growing up. People rode more further. I mean, they got
more consistently.
Yeah. Where now it's stall them up, feed them, make them look pretty. And well, if you've done that with a bunch of them that are bred to be rock stars with some power, I mean, like the cutters are doing it. They're breeding for rock stars. We'll make that sucker 15 hands and 1,300 pounds and stall him up and feed him and let one of these guys that don't ride very good get on him and see how it goes. You know what I'm saying? So it is tricky. You kind of got to breed for your clientele, but that's just what I want, and this person can come to my place and be like, I didn't like any of his stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's fine. You don't have to buy one. I'm the one that's got to ride these things every day. So
Yeah.
I'm going to raise what I want to.
But it's
Right.
it's smart that you're keeping in mind your market also, that you've got a very big market as opposed to being very specialized.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's huge. That's what I'd talk about, like with Shady. Shady wants to get big in the cow horse deal, and I'm like, but if you get him so advanced and so like feely and touchy, I mean, I love riding something like that, but like this guy over here,
Or your kid.
yeah, is gonna fall off or not even know. Like,
Yeah.
we had some kids come try that little mare. I mean, she can do she's a little athletic thing and can do a lot, but I've got her going decent in the calf roping. And I'm like, she can, like, they didn't appreciate it. They just wanted to rope. And I was like, Shady can show you, like, she can change leads and spin and do all this stuff and stop big. And I was like, we can work a cow on her. She can get from here to there and very cowy. Like, oh, no, we don't want to see all this stuff.
Yeah. The first thing they're going to do is just do this anyways. Yeah. It is tough because that's what I want to ride. I like the ones that they are a little humpy. I don't necessarily want one that's going to buck me off halfway through the ride, but I don't mind when I get on him and they swell up a little bit because them generally got a little feel. And I like that style of horse.
Mm-hmm.
But the next person's probably not. So we got lucky with Pocket. Pocket's the horse that I can get on, and he's what I want. I mean, he is as feely as they are for what we're going to go use him for. But then as soon as I get off of him, I can throw any one of my kids. Obviously not the littlest one because he can't walk yet. But I can put him up there and walk him around. But I can let Holton ride him. And he's 4. I can let Will ride him. And Will's pulled him out of the stall when we've had bad weather. He's sat in there for 2 weeks. And I got a video of it, of him riding him, just crawling up the side of him like a spider. And he's just quiet, And so far we've been pretty lucky. His colts have, I don't want to say his colts are as good as he is as an individual just yet because they're still plenty young. It looks like it's going that direction. But I will say his colts are at least 50% better than the ones I've had out of my previous studs in the same mares. So I know he's siring himself a lot, but I ride all the mares too. That's when we bought all these things. They weren't all Halterbroke. They were either sisters to one that's been to the World Show or something that's been to the BFI or something that's been someone's favorite ranch horse. Like, okay, we got a lot of mixed feedback here on what someone said was a good horse. If you're not the one riding it, what was he good at? You know, because I think when we first bought all them horses, there was 70 some total head, 50, I think 52 or 54 mares. And we've just kept riding colts, and every time I liked one, we kept her back. And now I think I've only got 3 of them original mares still. And I got daughters of some of them, but they got old. They had to go.
Mm-hmm.
But, and then, you know, AI in them and stuff, like some of them mares, yeah, they weren't halter broke, but I had some really good colts out of them. And you tell somebody that, and they're like, she wasn't even halter broke and you bred her? Like, yeah. Kind of didn't have a choice at the time. You know, but when you're pasture breeding them, your horses are typically, as a ranch horse, our stuff is cheaper. So you got to figure out what works financially to breed them and raise them. Because if they're going to cost me money, I don't mind it if they're not making a bunch of money. When we started, it was like, oh, let's just try it. As long as they're not costing us money, we can try it. But riding the mares ourselves has helped a bunch, because you got a pretty good idea what you got, you know, and the consistency of the animal. If she was the same horse all the time, so far the colts out of them have showed the same thing. So something's working.
Yeah.
I don't want to change it up too much.
Yeah, it's I just saw a post the other day talking about the well, if we can't ride them, we'll just breed them, you know?
Yeah, that was the mentality back home where I grew up. They'd get something. They bred for looks only. Yeah, I swear, big, stout, pretty, because I rode some really bad minded animals. And you'd get one that if she just bucked and they're like, I don't want to ride her, she's miserable, let's just breed her. Let's have another one. That's a great idea. I can't wait to get some more. And then, why don't you ever want to buy a horse from me? And I'm like, because I know what you were breeding. I rode the ones that you didn't like. And I'm like, no, I'm out, you know. But
kind of like on All the Pretty Horses, you know, he says, what importance do you place on the mare compared to the sire? And he said, what importance do you place on the mare? And he said, same as the sire.
Yeah.
And he's like, a lot of people don't think that way. And he's like, yeah, it's just as important.
Would you like your business to be featured on the Wealthy Cowboy Show? I partner with a handful of businesses every month to advertise on the show, and now you can be one of them. If you think your business aligns well with the Wealthy Cowboy brand and our audience, click the link below and let's have a conversation.
Yeah, the way I looked at it was, you know, we bred to a couple outside studs the last 2 years instead of just our own. And I figured if I had a mare that was good at everything and wanted to please me every time I rode her, she didn't have to be great at one thing. Just every time I ask you to go do something, let's be good at it. Or at least try. And you can go breed to an athlete. I mean, see what you get from there, you know. But like I said, I got lucky with the one we got. I mean, he's an athlete and his mind's unbelievable, you know. So,
And
but
is he out of y'all's stock?
Pocket is, no, we bought him as a yearling. He's a Starlight Gypsy out of a daughter of Doc's Oak. Lena's Oakling is his mother, and she was out of a Docalina daughter on the bottom again. So the Gypsies have been, I've always said, since I've rode enough of them, they're the modern day driftwood. Driftwoods, they were meant to be rope horses way back when, back in the old days. If you wanted a rope horse, you went and bought a driftwood bred horse. Well, they've cut on the Gypsies, they've done all that, but they make rope horses in today's world. I mean, that's just how they are. So that's how we went that direction. Larry D told me, I asked her opinion because she rides enough of them with Trevor that if anybody's going to know, them two should know. And she's the one that pointed me in that direction. So, which was why I called her, because I liked the ones that she had that were, well, one was his full brother. So, yeah, I mean, you can raise your own, but our mares are so much bred the same. if I kept one out of one of them mares, I'm not big on the line breeding or inbreeding or whatever you want to call it. I feel like if the same horse is on a set of papers twice, it's like, yeah, it's a little too close, which, I mean, we've all done it. And I'll probably still do it here and there, but I don't want to make it a habit of just keeping back my same stuff. I'll do it out of my mares. You know, that's the deal was breeding of these outside horses was I was trying to because I'm a big believer on the mare. I put a little more value on the mare as I do the stud. Pretty much about a 70-30 in my mind. So I thought if I kept my best fillies back out of pocket, for example, and my favorite mares, ride them, they're good. I'll go pick out another stud, try him like I did. I got a Pepsid colt we're riding right now. He's 2. Super excited about it. I'm more excited about it. I tell everybody he's my favorite 2-year-old I've ever started. Pocket was the same way. And now this one I like even just a little better. But I think the reason that it makes him more my favorite or that I say he's my favorite is because I'm excited about the cross I'm going to get with him on these pocket daughters or some of even the other mares that are, I got sisters of pocket. So that's what makes me more excited about him, I think, than I was with pocket. Pocket's already been proven, so it's pretty hard to say, yeah, he's better than him. I'm not saying he's better. I'm just, as a 2-year-old, if I had him standing side by side, this one's just a little quicker footed. You know, but he's not as heavy though either. So I'm just trying to clean the front ends up a little bit. I'm getting a little too heavy. If I went back heavy again, I feel like I would be too heavy. So it's not easy, and it's just a dream and an idea. If it was real easy, we'd all be doing it. But
and it's crazy because you have to be in it just so long term because you're not going to know.
3 years.
Yeah, you're not going to
know. Until you get to ride it. Not
Yeah.
even be proven, just to ride it, you know. So it'd be fun if you can go, oh, I'm going to breed him to his daughters and then this one to that. And then boom, in 2 years you got it. It don't work that way, you know. So it's a waiting game. My kids like it, or my oldest one, he loves it. So I think that gives me the little extra drive of keeping it going. I mean, he's a little turd already, knows the mares, knows how they're bred. And if we go someplace and see one, he's like, you think that's a metallic cat? Or, yeah, I mean, that's funny. He's 8, you know, but he loves it. So poor kid. But yeah, there's times where it'd definitely be like you see so many good ones out there. It's like, I'd rather just go buy it. And then you ask them what they want for it, and you're like, I think I'll just keep raising them. You know,
Yeah.
it has changed. It's changed a bunch. So, which has been good. It's been really good for a lot of people, not just us.
And what about like your other ventures? I know you kind of got me on the Danco Forage. You had the relationship with Dan, and you started carrying it. And you sell some of that. I know you sell and trade other stuff and all that. So talk about like
Everything is kind of just tied in with each other. Dan, he started building a cube. I could be wrong on a year, but it has to have been around 2013 or 14. He's built his first alfalfa cube. I said, well, let's try it. We were feeding cubes. We just started feeding cubes. At that time, we had some blister bugs hit, and we had 4 horses. One of them was one of our studs that we bought off Haythorns at the time. We're all on IV up at Brazos Valley at the time, and so we went to the cubes. You know, no more. We didn't want any more of that problem. So that's what started it. Well, then Dan calls and says, hey, I'm going to start building some cubes. You want to try some? Well, I may as well. I mean, I know you ain't got no blister bugs in Canada. So that's what started there. And I've been with him since. There was one little break in there where I wasn't feeding any of them. We had some bumps in the road with the plant and stuff. So I put a stop to it for about a year, and then I jumped back on board with him as soon as he got it back to where he needed to have it. But just like any other business, you hit enough bumps, and it's been it's been good. I still think it's one of the, and I've said it when I wasn't even feeding them and I was having to feed these other ones, that has been the best.
Yeah, I think when I first called you, you're like, I'm not feeding it right now, but it's really good feed.
It is the best cube on the market. That Omnis cube is unbelievable. It's not an alfalfa cube. It is, but it's not. You can't compare it. Yeah, it's alfalfa, oats, flaxseed. Got a mineral pack in it. So became a dealer for it to help him, and then it cheapens up our stuff. And it was one of those deals. Well, then now here we are, and getting back into it, and I think it's going to get pretty big now that he's got his own plant going, and they're going to try to build another one and not using like we started out, having someone else build the cube and running it through them. Well, now it's his business. It's his main business. So. And it's been good. He's got 5 different, I think there's 5 different cubes. You got the Omega Plus, which is alfalfa grass with double the flaxseed is the Omnis, no oats, got the mineral pack, or you can get it without the mineral pack. Same with the Omnis, and then you got the Mustang Sally, which is just straight alfalfa. And he's got pellets, and he'll sell hay, everything. If you want it, he's got it. So, it's been.
Are you starting to sell a lot more there at your house?
Yeah, it's picked up quite a bit. I got Cooper's at Stephenville set up to be a dealer, so I don't have to have people come into the house. He's selling just the Omnis cube. Hopefully I can get him to carry some more of it here, but it's catching some traction, and that's been good. But I don't want to be the feed store. I just want to be me, and I'll help sell the product or push the product. And I've fed it for a long time, and if I don't like it, I don't want to sell it.
Yeah.
But it's the most unique cube. I don't want to say it's the best cube, or I think it's the best just because of what it all is and what it can do, and it cuts out so much of the other costs of the other feeds that, it's already all in one. You can't overfeed it. If I want to go to a horse show with the stud or anything else, I could dump the whole bag in there the night before, and they're full and look like they're show ready in the morning, and I didn't have to get up and go feed them.
Yeah.
And then go back, and you can cut out some labor is about all it boils down to, and you can't overfeed them, which you can dump any alfalfa cube out free choice, but this stuff with everything that's in it, you can't hurt them. They can't consume enough of it to hurt themselves. So yeah, it's been good. You guys have been on it for a little while. I know your horses look amazing, which not like they've ever looked bad, but you can see what the cube does if you fed it long enough, and I can see it on the horses that I got some people that feed it just to certain horses, and I don't know which horses they feed it to, but I can pick it out when I go to their place. Then like, this one's not getting the cubes. No, he's not. They get an extra shine to them. It's the flaxseed, and then with the mineral pack, they'll dapple. Any color horse dapples, not just grays or buckskins. Like Pocket right now has got big old chestnut dapples in him. It looks pretty cool, and it's the only thing he's on. We've got grass for the first time in 5 years, but so yeah.
Yeah, I've always liked the cubes better than the hay. I hate keeping hay up and feeding it. If you got a big bell out or something, whatever, but keeping hay up and it's just a mess, and then you waste them on the ground, or if you have hay outside, you waste it on the ground.
Nothing's handier than putting a bale out there and leaving it, but when you have stuff fed twice a day, separately in stalls, cubes are the way to go. And I'll argue with anybody. They're convenient, they're handy, they're not messy. Cleaning the stalls, which a lot of people don't have to clean their own stalls anymore. I still have to clean mine. You're not picking up through the urine and the crap and in the hay stems. There's no waste. Not only that, just your storage of packing it in your living quarters trailer. If you're going to go, I don't have to crawl up into the hay rack if I don't want to, or the hay pod. I can just throw 5 or 6 bales in that first manger in them compartments on the living quarters, and it doesn't take up any room. Mm-hmm. I mean, you just try to put that same amount of weight of feed in there with a hay bale. I mean, not only that, your bags are clean. Your wife can grab it, and she's already dressed and ready to go, and she's not going to have hay all over and in her hair.
Yeah.
All that good stuff, you know, and flying around in the trailer. The other thing, too, is I have never thrown a match at an alfalfa cube, but I haven't heard of a trailer catching on fire yet with anyone feeding cubes versus I've seen 2 of them where someone's flicked a cigarette and lit the trailer on fire because of hay hanging in the trailer. I'm sure it would burn. It is a dehydrated deal, but something about it being
Probably less.
I've tried lighting some on fire. I have had a couple bags, and it did not burn. And I don't know. And the only reason I did it is some of it got moldy on the outside, and I just threw the bag by the burn barrel, and forever them cubes did not burn. I have no idea why that is. I couldn't tell you. But the cubes are the way to go. I think the convenience of it is nice.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm not too sure if you figure up your cost of waste in the long run, it's got to be the same cost as hay at the most, if not even a little cheaper. But I feed everything. I feed cubes. I'll feed hay. Just depends on what's turned out and what's not. Mm-hmm. But stalls, it's cubes.
So you got the cattle side, the horses, the cubes. You got any other ventures going on?
No. I've been a dealer for Sweet Pro with their cattle tubs and their Equilix tubs for horses and stuff. Been with them guys for about 12 years also. Don't sell a whole lot of it. There's not Teskey's, I think, is the only ones close to me that sell it, and they just sell the Equilix, not even the cow tubs. But that was one of those deals where if you had a chance to be a dealer, you cut out a lot of cost for when you're feeding your own stuff, and then turned out sell quite a bit of the Equilix tubs. Honestly, they're pretty good. That's
how I've gotten into a lot of deals. Is like, man, if I could just cheapen up my stuff, and make it better.
That's what my cousin. So we were a dealer. Lance and I were a dealer for Danco trailers for a while, and my cousins would always make fun of me back home. They'd ask me about something. Like, oh, let me guess, you're a dealer. I'm like, if I can have the chance of being a dealer for something, I'm going to do it. And you know, especially if it's something you're wanting to use. If it's something I don't want to use, I don't want to deal it because it's hard to sell something that's not very good. Mm-hmm. You know, and if you like it, people can read it, you can sell it.
Yeah.
You know, but the proof's in the pudding every time. So
that's kind of how I go, like all my stuff. It's like, well, here's my operation. I feed it, I use it, whatever it is. I believe in it. If you want to do what I'm doing, or if you want to do something else, whatever you want to do, but I like it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I had to live that way my whole life because school was not for me. I was not for school.
You're always having to hustle, find something.
It was about like what Dylan said. And he goes, the favorite thing about school was leaving it. You know, I mean, I hated it. I didn't like being in there. I don't think they liked having me in there. So, I mean, that's just kind of drove me to being who I am today. I think of just, I'm open to a lot of things. I mean, let's try it. Mm-hmm. You know, I sell some cattle oilers too. I mean, them fly systems, I almost forgot about it. They're amazing for what they can do. And I was the most stubborn person, I think, to get on board with them. And then we tried them, and I was like, they actually work. I mean, them things they're pretty cool. You know, it's Prairie Phoenix cattle oilers, or cattle systems, I think they call them. So there's another thing I got sitting in the barn that someone wants when we can hook you up.
Yeah. Your next place you're gonna have to get on. You're gonna have to get road frontage, so it'd be more convenient to get in and out.
That's what
Set all that stuff outside.
Waylon, he pulled up into the yard to get some branding irons the other day, and he calls me back. He goes, Schaffner, did you know that the longer you stay in one spot, the more crap you can accumulate? Well, yeah. You're going to have to just move every now and then just to clean house. Yeah.
What would your advice be to someone getting started in ranching, wanting to get started in ranching?
Man, if I had any advice, I would say work for as many different people and places as you can while you're young to see how all the see all the different ways of getting something done is out there. Because if you stay at home forever and just work for mom and pop or grandpa, well, this is the way we've done it for 80 years. This is the worst thing I think can happen. Go somewhere else. Go work for anybody you can. See what other ways are out there to do the same thing you've been doing. Because you can come home and be like, this idea is horrible. You know, I've learned a pile from everywhere I've went. I mean, from all kinds of guys. I mean, there's good cowboys everywhere. You can take someone from Arizona and put him in Florida. He's a pretty good hand, but it's going to get done a different way there. Same thing, vice versa. You take me from up north, bring me down here. We don't have trees. You can see everywhere you want to go look. It just takes you a while to get there.
Yeah.
We're here. It's completely different, you know, but you're going to pick up different traits or ideas or ways to do things from someone somewhere, and it's going to be beneficial. And that's going to lead into whether it's how you feed, how you run your cattle operation, your horse operation, your family at supper. I mean, you're going to learn something. The more places, it's experience. Mm-hmm. It's like hiring a mechanic. I'd rather hire a mechanic to work on one of my feed pickups that's been doing it for 50 years versus the dude with the big education that just come out of college.
Yeah.
I mean, go get the experience.
Yeah, I think that's really good. What do you think's the most challenging thing related to ranching that you've had to face or that you see?
Right now, the most challenging thing is probably if you don't have the help to have a place to start on because the cost of land. I mean, it's pretty hard to mortgage a piece of a land or a ranch and expect the cows to pay for it anymore. There's places that have been cut up too much. All the big places are getting broke up. And then for a young guy, if you don't have a little help coming in, it's tough. I feel like that's the toughest part is owning the ground to do it. You know, and that's the beneficial part of the lease country. Mm-hmm. You know, you can still lease it cheap enough, but then I feel like it's getting a little harder to even lease places because people are like, well, I can just run my own cows on it and make more money than if I lease it. You just got to find the right people that don't want to do it.
Jack with it, yeah.
And deer hunters, the hunters have been even harder on, it's pretty much really a lot of the big places are getting bought up by city guys that want to go hunt. And no more cows. So,
yeah, it's it's a big issue, and I used to be of the mindset, you know, everybody you talk to is like, man, you just can't lease nothing anymore. Old so and so, he leases everything that comes up, or you know what, or they don't want to lease it or whatever. And I'm just like, I finally just was like, okay, y'all shut up. You know, I'm gonna think this other way. If that guy can go lease it, that means something's for lease. That means we just got to find them first or negotiate better or whatever. I think there's always something you can do. But if you're already like, well, he's just going to do it, I'm not even going to jack with it, and then you're already beat.
Yeah, don't ever give up. Just keep trying. I mean, put yourself out there as much as you can. Go help them. That's the good thing about day working, too. And or going to any kind of events in town, just the more you're out there and just put the word out, hey, man, I'm looking for a place. Like, oh, yeah, we'll keep you in mind. You hear that 10 times, you might get one phone call, but that one phone call is a start. And the next thing you know it, you do good. You treat the place like it's your own and take care of it. Take the fence, be a good neighbor. Pretty soon, the next person says, hey, I got another spot over here if you want it. Yeah, you're going to have a bunch of 30-acre places for a little while, but pretty soon you'll have something.
Yeah, and I realized the hard way, of course, of like, I leased a place, 100 miles away, and it's got to be of a certain size, but I might hear something 100 miles away I'm like, well, it could be a good deal or whatever, a good place, good opportunity, but it's like it's so far away, it doesn't make sense for me to do it. But like, how about one of my buddies over here? Mm-hmm. So yeah, I think there's always something out there. As long as somebody's leasing land, then it's for lease. So you just got to find the right people. I think a big thing is like trying to find like how can you bring value to somebody else? Like get around somebody that trades land or subdivides land. Get around different people besides a bunch of cowboys that they're all trying to lease land. You gotta try to figure out, be creative and get in there somehow.
I'm excited to announce this month we're giving away a turtle box to listeners of the show. All you have to do is click the link below and enter your info for a chance to win a turtle box speaker. So click the link and get entered. This is brought to you by our friends at Big Country Equipment in San Angelo.
Yeah, that's kind of got to read your circle a little bit. If you're in a circle where you're like, man, I don't stand a chance in this one for right now, but I'll be back. Mm-hmm. Go to where you can. If you want to get started, sale barns. How many of them do you help during the week?
Yeah, I used to go to 2 or 3. Yeah,
you meet a lot of people. Mm-hmm. And if you're there all the time and they know you're interested in it, and just be a good person, someone's going to show up and offer you something.
Yeah,
that's the biggest part.
I think that is a big deal. A lot of people are scared of them because it can be a lot of work, but it's just a congregation of a bunch of people in the same industry. So you're around and everybody's got their own deal going. You're around the guys in the back that are working, trying to make it, and they're trying to do the same thing as you, build something of their own. And then you got guys in the front. The guys in the front are going to be all walks of life. You got just your buyers, you got your traders, and you got your guys that are selling their stuff, which can be some big operator or some little hobby farmer. And there's a lot of opportunity around there.
Yeah.
Not just the job you're doing back there, but there's so much opportunity to network. And yeah, I made a lot of connections doing that.
Yeah, and then someone will, and if it's a little tough and things are expensive and someone knows you're trying, someone will offer you to, we'll partner on some if you want. Mm-hmm. I want to be part of it. I can't do it physically. You can. But I've got some ground. Something's going to pop up. Just keep trying.
I'm almost kind of staying on what I just asked you, but what's one of the biggest lessons you've learned just in life in general? I think life lessons can relate to any of it.
I think the biggest thing is if you've got a dream, don't give up. You hear it all the time. It's almost like a broken record when you talk to anyone successful, but they're right. But I think if you try hard and you just be a good person to everybody you can, don't let little things get in the way from you being successful. Like if you got a grudge with somebody, just forget about it, because you know what? The next person that you're going to run to that could be your opportunity might like that guy, and you could lose it just from that. So it's get along, put yourself out there, and you never know. I heard, I think it was Trevor that said something one time. He goes, if you're always nice to everybody, even at the rodeos, be polite to the guy running the gate that lets you in, because that guy might be the one to help you the most. Or he might be somebody you don't know who he is. He's he might be your next sponsor. I mean, you never know who you're going to run into. You know, I know a lot of guys that you wouldn't think had two nickels rubbed together just by the way they're dressed, and it turns out they're the nicest person, one of the most wealthy people, and he'll give you a shot.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so like I said, and the more you can get around other people, you learn better ways of doing things, and that can lead to, like I said, it could lead to the dinner table with you and your family and how to raise your kids just the way that you're like, man, I want to be like this guy. He's got, you know, his family's cool, been inside his house, not just the outside looking in, and just rub shoulders with as many good people as you can and successful people, and it's going to rub back.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
And then, of course, to wrap up, what's your favorite restaurant?
My favorite restaurant?
Yeah.
Oh, it's a little tougher question than a guy thinks. I don't really have a favorite restaurant, but I guess if I'm in Stephenville, my go-to spot's got to be any of the Mexican food places, really. But
what is your favorite Mexican place in Stephenville? It's always hard to decide.
My favorite one is in Dublin, and I don't even know what the heck it's called. It's right across from the Dairy Queen.
Okay. Yeah, that's changed names several times since I've been around
that if I'm going by there, we're whooping in. That's probably my favorite spot to eat. And where I grew up, we didn't have Mexican food. You'd think as much as we had to eat Taco Bell, we wouldn't want to eat Mexican food ever again. But that was the only closest thing we got to it. So now that I'm down here, I'm like, I could eat it 3 times a day.
Yeah, we went to Florida the other day with some of our friends' family, and they're Canadian, and they're like, oh yeah, we'll eat Mexican food every meal down. And it's like, we did find a decent Mexican place in Destin there, but you know, you wouldn't think that that's what you're gonna go eat seafood there. That's like what we go for anyway. But they're like, oh yeah, anytime we're down this direction, like it's like we come over here to Texas. There's a lot more, maybe better.
The people I feel sorry for is we went to Sitka, Alaska for my sister's wedding. I like fish, but I couldn't eat fish every day, all day like that. Poor people have to. They were begging me to swap them out, send steaks up there. They'd send us all the fish we wanted. I was like, oh, that'd be hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be a tough one. But the Mexican food, I don't know if I could really live without it, honestly. I like it. Yeah.
How can people get a hold of you if they want to breed, if they got any questions or anything like that?
So
buy horses, anything.
Yeah, he's collected and he stands at home, but we take him in at KB Ranch and Stallion Station in Comanche. Carrie Robertson, she does my collecting and breeds our mares. Facebook, our website's got to be updated, so don't even go to that one. I don't even think he's on it. Or you just, my phone number's on the ad and everything, like on his flyer everywhere on Facebook. So if you can get on Facebook, you can find us.
Yeah. So you got your breeding, selling horses, got the oilers for sale, the tubs, Danco Forage.
Yeah. Everything will be through there. Danco Forage, you go to their Facebook page for anything. Send a message or the phone numbers are on there. And pretty good odds are you're going to know somebody that knows who I am that has my phone number. So if I don't have it on hand or whatever it is, or even if I don't sell it and it's something you're looking for, I'll bet you I know someone that can help you out.
Got a connection somewhere. Yeah, I know a guy.
Exactly.
That's a big one, to be one of those people that knows people.
It's not what you know, it's who you know. And I have a ton of really good friends that if I had to sit here and thank everybody, we'd have to start all over. I've been very thankful for the people that have helped.
Yeah.
And I don't sell their stuff, but I'll help them sell it. I mean, it takes a big team.
Yeah.
You know,
sure.
And anymore, as much as everything costs to play the game, you either going to need to know where to cut the costs or how to sell it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, I appreciate you coming on, and y'all go check out Tyler, Facebook, all the stuff he sells, horses, everything, and we'll see y'all next time.
A mastermind has the sole purpose of getting you further, faster, and that's exactly what we're doing with the Wealthy Cowboy Show Mastermind. It is for the person that's ready to start out building their business or someone just looking to get their business to the next level. We will have live Q&A calls that you can ask past and future guests questions that relate specifically to you. You'll also hear ideas and be able to network with people that could open you up to a completely different way of thinking that could change your life. Click the link below if you're looking to go to the next level in business and in life.